Disclaimer, I'm not a huge fan of the Green Lantern. I don't know the lore that much, so I don't know if this movie trashed it or anything. Like, I don't know if it did what it did to Transformers 2 or what movies did to, like, Spider-Man 3, where it just destroyed the lore of the comic. Because I'm not that big into it. But let's get into this review. So the movie stars Ryan Reynolds, basically a cocky plane pilot who gets chosen to become the Green Lantern, which is something I didn't really like. It's not really a bad thing that he was chosen to be the Green Lantern. It just doesn't explain it that much. Like, he's walking to his car, and then he gets picked up and shot randomly at the very beginning of the film. So I didn't like the beginning of the film. I didn't really like the movie up to he goes to the planet with all the Green Lanterns, and we see him training. Why? Because it's really cool when we see him training. I mean, he's got all these powers, and we see all of them. Like, you can make anything you want with them, so it's really cool to actually see that. And I wish they would have just showed that more. They only do it for about, like, 10 minutes, which is cool and all, but I think it would be so much better if the whole movie basically took place there and we got to see him experiment with his powers more and not just really, just showing off. Now, critics are bashing this movie. They're calling it like one of the worst superhero movies of all time. I don't really think so. I don't think it's like, Howard the Duck that bad. I don't think it's like Spider-Man 3 or Fantastic Four 2. I don't think it's ever that bad. Okay film at that, so at least it's worth to check out. But there's definitely better, superhero films. I mean, you can go check out X-Men First Class or Thor, and you'll probably have a better time. So there's a lot better films coming out this year than, The Green Lantern. But it's an okay film at best. There's one thing that in particular I didn't really like. They showed off his family for a second, and they show off, like, his nephew, and he's like an 11-year-old kid, and it's his birthday party at the very beginning of the film. And then they never go back to him. Like, the family is not there, and they have it's like a 2-minute, like, sentimental moment where he's just like, well, I survived. And the kid's like, I'm glad you survived. And then we never see him again. So that was a little bit disappointing that they could have done the film from there. They could have actually, I don't know the lore very well, but they could have changed it a little bit, like Mortal Kombat Legacy does, where the superhero film isn't about getting a girl, it's about something with family, or like a different value than, this girl that we don't really care about, which is played by Blake Lively, who, just like Ryan Reynolds, I mean, the villains are really cool, but the only problem is the main villain of the film, Paradox, is basically just like a gas, like a black, dark gas that just looks like Galactus from Fantastic Four 2, and we know how that all went. So it never really feels threatening to me. Like, I was like, we could have done with a better villain, and this whole thing could have just been fixed, and that would have been a lot better. So Green Lantern is an alright film, but you're not going to really remember it, so